So if you
Mhm.
were to like highlight those things on a map, those would only encompass like a handful of states,
Mhm.
whereas like in like other states, you have more people who are distributed over wider areas. So like you want to make it more equal. Like the people in the more suburban or rural areas can have like a fighting chance against more of the people in like the coastal or cities
The
or
more
urban
populous
areas.
areas. Yeah, that's
So
definitely an argument for keeping the electoral college for sure. Peyton.
Is it because the framers didn't want like the true democracy, freedom, like based on popular vote? So because of that, they were afraid. They wanted like people. They wanted elitists to like, or people who with an education base to be the people who actually voted for our president.
Yep. Remember that Madisonian model that we talked about last unit? Fearful of too much democracy, fearful of people having too much control. So electors were actually supposed to be people with the most up-to-date, timely information who could make better decisions than sometimes. We might give in to the passions of our community. We might screw up and give in to that tyranny of the masses and make a bad choice, and so an elector was supposed to be a check on that. I will tell you that today, electors, much like delegates, typically just represent the will of the people. Electors are no longer people that are necessarily smarter or wiser. Please don't ever tell me that in an essay. Electors are nerdy people like me who would be excited to participate in this process. It's a reward. It's loyalty for being part of a party. It's like an honor to participate in history. It's something that would be like meaningful to those people. There's no singular qualification for electors. And just like I can't tell you like how we choose delegates because there are different systems depending on each state, the same is true for electors. Okay? So, how it works. You guys were mostly right, but we need to work through this a little bit. Okay? So, every state is given a specific number of electors, and that is based on your representation in Congress. So, we have in Texas, for example, we have 36 people in the House of Representatives. We have 2 in the Senate. Gosh, you can barely even see that, can you? And then that means that we have total 38 people that represent us as electors. So when the vote happens, right? And what did Andrew say? What was the magic number that we needed to get?
270.
270. So we could contribute potentially 38 towards that whole 270. Where we get that 270 number, there are total 435 people in the House of Representatives. There are 100 people in the Senate, and Washington, D.C. gets 3 electors because of the 23rd Amendment. And so that gives us that 538. So to win, you simply need half plus 1. That's it. You get half plus 1 of the electors, and you will then become president. There are in every state 2 sets of electors. Okay, so the Republican Party picks 38 people in Texas that will serve as electors. The Democratic Party picks 38 people that will serve as electors. And those people are sitting there on election night just waiting, 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 waiting. Whoever wins the popular vote in our state, those are the electors that will be chosen.
So it's who like popular vote based on Republican or Democrat.
Mhm. Okay, so let's pretend, let's go back to our election. We'll say that we had, well, we don't even have to pretend. We had Trump, right? We had Clinton, and who was it? Gary Johnson. So we had those 3 candidates, and I'm just going to make up numbers because these aren't real, but we'll just pretend, okay? Let's say that Trump got 45% of the popular vote, and that Clinton got 35% of the popular vote, and that Gary Johnson got 20% of the popular vote in our state. Trump gets all 38 electors. Every state except for Maine and Nebraska do it that way. They do winner take all. Whoever gets the highest percentage gets all of your electors. Maine and Nebraska split theirs proportionately, but they're very small states, population-wise, and so they don't really impact this process. And they would just take theirs, and just like we talked with delegates, they would take them and they would split them. So a month after Election Day is when the electors actually go and cast their ballot. They do it before the state legislature. Again, big ceremony. They cast a ballot for president, cast a ballot for vice president. Hoo-ha! Then those are delivered to the Congress. They're counted before the Congress, and that's how we eventually get a president. Okay. Good so far? What do you think of this process? Michelle, go ahead.
So the percents, those are based on popular vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. What's wrong with this? Go ahead.
I don't know if it represents like the majority of the people.
What do you mean?
Based on like, I know a lot of people didn't vote in the past election.
Mhm.
Like I think it was like less than 0.5% of people actually voted.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it represents like everyone's true opinions about who they want to be like president, because sometimes I'm curious on how Hillary Clinton wins the popular vote by 3 million votes, like overall the nation,
Mhm.
and still doesn't get to be the president when she killed him in the popular vote.
And so my answer would be the winner take all system is what makes that happen. If you took, if you proportionately did electors, when you have an election like that, that wouldn't be able to happen, probably.
Just based on what?
Because if you have a marginal victory and you get all of these electors, it makes your win look more decisive. I'll give you another example. In 1992, Bill Clinton won the popular vote. Won the presidency, right? He became president. He got close to 400 electoral votes that year. He didn't even get 50% of the popular vote, because there were 3 candidates, and Ross Perot ended up with close to 20% of the popular vote. So 2 out of every 10 people voted for Ross Perot. Ross Perot did not get a single electoral vote, though, because he never won the most. So doing an election that way, where you do this winner-take-all thing, definitely marginalizes a third-party candidate, but it also distorts the winner a lot of times. It makes the win look more decisive. Okay. Can anybody think of any reason, though, that that's good, to have a decisive win? Are we just all disgruntled and so, like, I hate politics? Yeah, I'm having a really hard time this semester. I get it, I understand it, but this is what's going on right now in our country. This isn't going to be forever, and so it's like important that you guys understand that, so that you figure out how you're going to fit into it. So, can anybody think of any good reason to go that it's good that we have this clear-cut kind of system where we're not worried about the 3 million votes, and we're not recounting, and we're not constantly doing popular, but we're simply saying whoever got 270 is the winner? What do you think?
Not because I like the process.
No, but can you think of like a positive reason behind it? Like what? How does this more efficient? I guess is what I would say.
Well, I mean, I guess this way you're not completely dependent on everyone's individual vote. And
Mhm.
I mean, generally I've heard that people would prefer to get rid of the electoral college process.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I don't know many people that are like, "Ooh, I love the electoral college. It's great, right?" So, so let's just build on that then. What would it take to get rid of the electoral college? It would take an amendment. Very good. So turn your attention to the wall, ladies and gentlemen. What would it take? What would have to happen for us to amend the Constitution and get rid of the Electoral College? Because it has been proposed over and over and over. It would take 2/3 of both houses of Congress and 3/4 of the states. So I am going to argue that this probably is not going to happen. Why do you think that 3/4 of the states would not approve getting rid of the Electoral College? Yes, ma'am.
Because isn't it like a benefit to the smaller states?
Oh, it's such a benefit to the smaller states. They are incredibly overrepresented. I'm going to show you when we come back from lunch a video that's going to work you through the math. Those of you that are mathy people are going to love it, because it's going to really put it into context for you why small states are overrepresented. And while we think that the Electoral College is really like giving states like Texas and Florida such an advantage, it actually really gives us a disadvantage, and we're way underrepresented based on our population and how the Electoral College works. Okay? All right, so you guys have the best lunch, and we'll finish up when you get back.